drinks challenge. I'm just checking in. I've got about maybe 10-15 minutes left before I have to finish off my my morning art. So I think I should probably just update because I won't be able to film in the car on the way to work today. Jazz is driving me. Still haven't had my car looked at. So yeah, just figured I should get a quick update in so I don't forget. Pardon me. So I'm going to sip my coffee there. I'll show you guys what I have done this morning though. Just continuing on with those profile pieces I was working on yesterday. So this one, Abby, and there's Geordie. So there's those two. Now I'm going to be working on Sprocket, so I'm going to do that while I'm talking to you guys. Give me a second. So Sprocket's actually a relatively new character who we haven't really introduced until now. This is sort of the real first time anyone's sort of seen her properly. I've mentioned her in the past several times, but I'd never finalised the design because she was sort of coming up later into the comic, so I never sort of bothered myself with designing her, although I always had an idea of what she would look like roughly. We sort of solidified this design over the weekend, sort of hanging out with Piper, and I said, well, you know, what are your thoughts for her? Because, you know, we've got a bit of freedom. So this is, I suppose, doing this sketch at the moment will be solidifying her look, or at least, you know, sort of her base design, because we can always change her costume and stuff throughout the comic, which will most likely happen. But yeah, I'm really happy with how she's turned out. She's going to be a pretty cool character, pretty spunky and fun, and she's a smart kid. You know, she's knows a lot about robotics and a lot about just technology in general. But yeah, you know, that's not what I wanted to talk about today. What I did want to talk about today, excuse me a second, I'm just going to have to fix up this goggle because the way it sits is completely wrong. Let's fix that up. Just needs to pull out a little bit in the lens there. Okay. Cool Magoo. Yeah, where was I? Okay. So I've got into a bit of a discussion last night, and when I say discussion, it was more of I put my 2 cents in based on someone else's status, and they were talking about the fact that they get up earlier to ensure that they can actually get the work that they're working on done. You know, because by the end of the day they're generally burnt out, so they're finding that working earlier for them is better. And I thought, well, hang on, this is exactly what I've been doing recently. So I just put my comment in and said, well, I've been it's been about 2 weeks now since I've been waking up at 4:30 in the morning and doing what I'm doing here. Like for me, it works out great. You know, I'm doing my 2 hours, and it wakes me up, and you know, I'm still pretty creative at this point, even though I'm using most of it to do my inking. I don't do a lot of sketching and things in the morning. I mostly get to the grunt part, but yeah, I'm awake enough to do it. And it sort of sparked up a little bit of extra conversation in there about a few people were like, you know, well, when I do this, then I go to work at about 7 o'clock. So I get maybe an hour and a half worth of work in. And then when I come home, we do all the baby stuff, and we, you know, feed April, do the dishes, and we tidy up a bit and sweep up any mess, etc. And then we give her a bath, and then we put her down. It's usually Jazz who gives her a bottle and stuff before she goes to sleep. And then Jazz will try and get her down, and then April's super stubborn, so then I'll end up having to get her down. It's just how April is. And I don't mind that because it means I get a few extra cuddles in the day. And then once that's done, then I'll hop back onto the computer. I should point out that we do have, well, I have a little studio set up in the living room, so I can just chill out in that one. It's just a desk with a computer on it, pretty much. It's nothing fancy, and it's got my Cintiq attached to it. So that's sort of my digital station where I can do all my digital work, and then I bring it into my actual studio, which isn't much of a studio at the moment. It's just a big mess. And I sit there and do all my other work. So whether it's working on Monkey Junk or whether it's working on the children's book that I'm working on at the moment, or whether it's doing actual work from work. Sometimes I do have to bring my work home, which is frustrating, but sometimes I do. And I spend a bit of time on that. And usually we try, and probably if it wasn't for jazz, I would just keep going. But around 10 o'clock, 10:30 is when we usually crash. So it's pretty hectic. It's definitely a lot easier on the weekends. I just get a huge chunk of time done in the morning, and in the evenings I try and relax as much as I can and actually just chill out on the couch and watch movies and stuff. I don't know why, like at this stage, like I've always seen weekdays as like those are the days that you work, and you work consistently. My father worked a lot. He used to travel a lot, but when he was home, he also used to work for the Army Cadets, and so he would work his day job, and then he would come home and commence everything he had to do for the cadets, or he'd be doing extra work from home. So it's almost sort of been ingrained in me, this idea of just working up until the point where you need to get to sleep, because that's sort of what I grew up watching, with my father, and he's a hard worker and he still is to this day. But interestingly enough, like I feel like it hasn't been until I've really had a family that's made me sort of click with this and understand why he did it. And it's all about sort of managing your time, and like hopefully I get to a point where I can just continue doing these early mornings and completely wipe out the evenings, which would be great. Like once I actually get my own studio set up, I'm gonna have like in the new house when we move. Hopefully I can put the computer in there, which means that I'll be able to do the digital side of things in the morning as well, because where it currently is, if I turn that computer on, it's going to light the whole lounge room up, and that in turn will light up the bedroom because it's right next to it. So it's sort of off limits in the mornings, which is fine because I get to ink and do things like this. So yeah, just been thinking, been in this discussion and been in this mind frame, and sort of a few people like, don't burn out and don't overdo it, like don't get too tired and, have an accident or something like that. Pardon me. And it just got me thinking, I'm like, in my head I know that I'm not, like I feel fine. I'm getting enough sleep. I generally know when my limit's reached, especially in the evenings. Like sometimes there are evenings where I'll be super tired, my eyes are falling out of my head, but I've got a sketchbook in my hand and I'm still trying to draw. And it's that point where I go, okay, no, you need to put the sketchbook down and just go to bed and revitalize and start the day fresh. I think this is a good practice for me at the moment as well, because just in general, like if I have a big day at work, I'm going to be just as exhausted whether I wake up early or not. That job can be extremely mentally draining. So doing this means, I suppose it makes me a lot happier in the morning. Like, I can, once I walk out of the studio, get ready for the day, hang out with the kid a little bit before I go to work, get to work and deal with like all my work colleagues and stuff. I'm probably a much happier person because I've accomplished goals today. I've done the creative work that I want to work on, and I'm moving forward in something that I hope to make a career one day. And that's the other thing too, is that drive. As much as like video games and TV, like I miss the hell out of them. I mean, like there's some days where I just want to hit the couch and play Zelda all night because I absolutely freaking love that game. But then that little voice in the back of my head is, but then you're not going to get your work done and you're going to be behind. And a part of that's attributed to scheduling as well. Like when I'm working for clients, I set out a really strict timeline for myself to reach certain targets. If I don't reach those targets, then that's not good, because I want to get paid and I want the client to be happy. And so having those goals generally push me a little bit further to go, well, your deadline's coming up in a couple of days and this is going to take you X amount of time, you better hurry up. And the same can be said for this comic, because at the moment I could just be working on pages, which ideally I would really prefer to be doing. But the other side of me said, well, I want to run this whole marketing campaign to launch the comic. If I want to do that, I need to have marketing material. And the comic already has a set date. I mean, and these are self-made goals, but this comic's going to launch on May 5th, Free Comic Book Day. If I want that to actually happen, then I've got to make it, because no one else is going to do it. No one else sees the vision that I see, and I can't just dump this onto other people. So, I'm stuck. I'm not stuck. I'm driven to see this thing through. And that's good. Like, my drive has not faltered in this time where I'm spending more time. A lot of this is also attributed to the 100-day challenge. If I wasn't doing the 100-day challenge, I wouldn't be waking up at 4:30 every day. I'd probably take some days. I'd have a few more liberties with myself. But at the same time, like, I enjoy getting up early now. It's sort of part of my routine. I do struggle still. Like, my alarm goes off and, I just roll over. But I tend to set 3 alarms every morning now. So I set one for 4:30, one for 4:45, and then one for 5:30. Because if I'm really, truly tired, I'm not going to get up. And I need that last alarm just to make sure that I get up before work. So, it is what it is. But it's fun. I'm drawing, I'm getting work done. And I'm working closer to the goal of even just getting this first issue out. And I feel like, I'm building this momentum, and a part of me sort of realizing that until I really have a good finished product to show, which will be issue 1 of this, or chapter 1 when it goes to print, there's only so much I can do to push this seemingly non-existent product. Not many people care for webcomics. A lot of people do, thank God, but some don't, and I want to hit every avenue as possible. So I just need to work hard and get it all out. So she's finally coming together. Actually glad wasn't sure I was going to finish it within time, but thankfully these are just line art. These aren't like super strenuous designs to work on. I should mention, just while I'm here, like, I'll just keep talking until I finish inking this, because I'm pretty close now. But we found out last night that we did get a house. So I'm pretty sure I told you guys that we'd applied. We've been looking at houses the past couple of weekends, and we applied to our first house on Sunday, and we found out yesterday that we got it. So I think that's attributed to we've got a pretty good rental record. The house that we're moving into is exactly the same and same price as the one we currently live in. Our concern was that Jazz isn't working at the moment, but they could see that we're paying the rent that we're already paying on my salary with no concerns, and we've had no issues from our other landlord of real estate. So that, they're like, well, obviously you're having no issues there, so we don't see why you would have an issue here. So we're like, okay, that's awesome. Plus, we were lucky to the real estate that sold this property on behalf of the landlord, we worked really well with them. We were really accommodating. We cleaned the house. We weren't assholes about the situation. So after a good interaction with them as well, they offered us up a really good reference. So having those helped. I don't even think they called my boss, to be honest, which is probably not a bad thing. Like, it just makes it a little bit easier. But it's good to know that we have this good track record now. So we found out that we get the keys on the same day as my sister's wedding, which is in a couple of weeks' time, which we figured was potentially going to happen. So it's going to be a bit of an interesting time then, but I think close to that will mean I'll be finished on the 100 days as well, so at least I can happily take a day off. Anyway, Sprocket here is done. She's ready to be scanned in. I'll be scanning these in today and putting together the promo art. So hopefully you guys will be seeing that soon up on social media. Alright guys, I'll leave you guys alone. That was day 80. I'm going to go get ready for work now. Yay me. And I'll catch you all tomorrow for day 81. Alright guys, have a wicked day, and I'll talk to you later.